Oh my god. This is going to be so bad doing this myself. No, it's going to be good. I'm going to prove a point today about doing these things myself. So hello everyone. I know this is going to be slow to get people to trickle in because I'm sure they don't know we started. But while that takes place, I'm going to share this in Goose and rely on the ravenous fans in the group to join us here today. So let's see. Goose. All right. All right. Radio City recap is live in Goose. I have no idea if anyone's in here because I don't know how to use this really. So this is going to be interesting. Oh, we got 9. Oh, we got 9 viewers. Okay. Very good. Happy to see everybody. Let's see. Is there any way I can see who's viewing? No, of course not. All right. Angela's here, relying on my friends. All right. Peter, hell yeah. EJ, good to see you. So let's kick this off. We got a tight timeline today. So because we got a big premiere coming. Again, the band's stepping on our toes here at the Great Beyond, as usual. Thank you, John. I usually don't wear the bucket hat because I look like absolute shit in it. But I'm pretty high. I wanted some flair. I got the shenanigans shirt on. It doesn't show up. So we got the bucket hat on today. Thank you guys for joining me. This is the Bruce Takeover episode. I don't know if you've been following, but Greg and Joey have been trying to kick me off this podcast and make Karina the third host. And I know she's good and all, but like I've said to them, I've been through the trenches. I've done the hard work here. Joey and Greg have really done most of the hard work, but then I've come in third, and that's a lot of work in and of itself. So anyway, let's get on with the Bruce show. First things first, we'll just touch on some news. Y'all love news. It's extremely exciting. One thing that won't be as exciting are the trivia giveaways. So those will be resuming soon. Greg's the one with the merch, and the hookup, as they say. I've got nothing. But just an update. I know we owe people merch. We're going through the episodes, making sure everybody gets what they need. I'll try to ship some out this week. And then when Greg and I get back from Peach, we'll make sure to take care of that. The tickets that he's supposedly giving away, those are him. Yes, exactly, Eric. Oh boy, I love being able to control these comments. Oh God, yes, dude. It's about time I took over this silly ass podcast. So there's that. All right, so cool. We'll quickly touch on some upcoming shows. Obviously, we know what we want to talk about today are the two shows that just went down. But High Sierra coming up on Thursday out in Quincy, California. It's going to be a really cool fest set for them. And it sounds like a great fest. And then Peach Fest, of course, the return to Peach Fest this weekend is going to be pretty epic. Late night on the main stage, Saturday night. It's going to be really, really fun. So we'll get back to that stuff later. One thing I will mention quickly is that Greg, Joey, and I will be doing some interviews in the Artist Lodge at Peach Fest, doing some stuff for Osiris, doing some stuff for Great Beyond, and just would love to talk to all of you. There'll be a lot of artists coming in and out, and I think there'll be viewings for that stuff. So definitely come by and say hi and check out some of the interviews from us. No Simple Road, another great Osiris podcast. Daniel Donato, who's an artist, who's going to be there. He'll also be interviewing people. So definitely stop by the lodge and check that out. Man, isn't news just so exciting? The best part of the show. Also, one thing I want to mention is check out HF Pod while we're talking about Osiris. It's the longest running fish podcast out there. And yesterday, Brian Weber, aka Jive Goose, who a lot of you might know on the scene, and Bruce is everywhere these days, obviously. We were on to talk a little bit more, take a more fish-centric look at the Trey set that we'll also be reviewing a little bit today. The obviously epic set with Trey. So that was a lot of fun. Check that out. If you can't get enough of me, there's unfortunately more there. And then one last thing I want to mention, Eric and Michelle Varvel from Varvel Arts, the great artists, big supporters, friends of the podcast. They're going to be running a fundraiser to help support some other big fans and friends of the band and the podcast. I hope Eric and Angela Lindsay with surgery for their beloved potato, Pooch Obi. So check that out if you're feeling generous, want some great art. I think Mark Chavon's from Meme Yvonne's also going to be sharing some art for that fundraiser. So check that out. I'll be posting that on Facebook on my feed post show. And then lastly, before I even get to the guests that we're going to have here today, because I'm not just going to subject y'all to me the whole time, at least. This is great though. Did anybody get an NFT? I forgot all about the NFT with Goose releasing an album, big deal, being on CBS, Snooze Fest, old people, and then these 2 sold out shows at Radio City. Yeah. But got anybody in the NFT? EJ? No? Sarah forgot? Yeah. Nobody got the NFT. What the fuck is an NFT? 2 what the fucks is an NFT. I like that. Very good. Yeah. It's a non-fungible token and it's probably pretty worthless, but James Flames is cool. I'm sure it's cool looking. Yeah, it probably wasn't worth it. I mean, you got to get we're not going to get into this. It's going to be extremely boring. We're going to lose listeners quickly. So anyway, going to try to get to our guests here. I've got them waiting in the wings. These are some very special guests that I have on the show today. They're very good friends of mine, good friends of the band. I've been seeing them for, I think, over 4 years now. One of them is nodding for me. Thank you for the help. I need help without Joey and Greg today. It's obvious. But so I'm really happy to introduce 2 people whose 100th show, 99th and 100th, happen to be 624 and 625. These 2 epic shows at Radio City Music Hall. This is my friends Jessica and Mike Dubois.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hi, Bruce.
Great to have you guys on The Great Beyond. This is what it's about. Family Lamb here.
Yeah,
sure.
Look, go ahead.
Oh, they're married, everybody. This is going to happen a lot.
Yes, not siblings.
I wanted to get something in now because it's just going to end up being like after a show, Jess and Bruce talking over each other and me just kind of sitting quietly and listening. So
that's what I expected. Yeah, that's why I invited you guys on. I knew it'd be easy peasy for us to just continue to talk endlessly. So how are you guys doing today?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah. Starting to get ready for Peach Fest. We leave Wednesday night,
ready?
Thursday.
Like, I think we've done no preparing for it, but yeah, leaving.
Welcome to the group of people who are very unprepared for Peach Fest to come up very quickly. But yeah, excited to spend that time with you guys. Hopefully we could catch Billy together if I can get up there early enough on Thursday. I'd really love to see him. But yeah, so okay, let's get this show on the road, shall we? So I have another special guest lined up. We'll see if he joins us today, but
I think he will.
I have confidence. He texted me. He was just pulling in, so I believe him. See if we can figure out the technology. So anyway, like everybody was here for, like we were here to talk about Goose Radio City Music Hall, 2 sold out shows Friday and Saturday night. That absolutely went down in an epic manner. And obviously everybody knows about Saturday night. But we're going to touch on both because Friday night was also an incredible show, incredible 3-set show, same format, acoustic, 2 electric, and an encore, which is incredible for the band to try to fit in before 11:59, which is why they didn't do it the second night. Yeah, of course, we're going to just pay thousands of dollars to play later because we can't manage our time. No, that's not the reason. But anyway, so we'll talk about the shorter show first, Friday night, 624. So let's just dive right in. So California Magic opener, but also a little bit from Handini about women's rights. Jess, you want to talk about that a little?
Just that it was great to see him do that. I know Peter and the band have always spoken up about different things along the way, and I was so excited that they said that on such a big day for them. And Ben had a pin one night. I noticed Rick had a pin another night, the second night.
Right. Rick had a pro-choice pin. What did Ben have? I remember something.
I think it said, if you don't like abortion, get a vasectomy.
Oh, snip. Okay. Eric Max. Chat. People want Russo. They want vasectomies. Like someone. But anyway, yeah. But so great way to start off the show. Obviously, huge applause from the crowd. Everybody was happy about that. And Peter's always mindful of that. So is the whole band. So it's always good to see that California Magic is also a great new song, and really like perfect for acoustic. Mike, what were your thoughts on that way to start?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good start. We were a little frazzled. We walked in right as the first notes were starting. Kind of couldn't have worked out much more perfectly. But
I got off a plane at 6:30 and then made it to the show in time. So it was a little bit crazy.
And Mike, you drove the night before, right?
Yeah, I drove in the night before, and then I did wait in that gigantic Pollock poster line and did that ordeal. But yeah, done, fought the masses, all the pushing and shoving, and
but yeah, then just like when the first notes started, like I burst out crying. So Mike was a little distracted for a second while I composed myself.
I mean, I kind of saw that coming, but yeah, it was pretty much waterworks. Both nights. The entire week. Yeah, it was
a lot of crying this weekend. I have heard a lot of crying. Mike, did you cry just from all of the crying? I don't know if I would have.
I was mostly trying to keep it together, so like more people around us were like, "What? All these people just crying around us." The poor lady was sobbing the entire time.
Yeah, Goose fans don't chomp; they just sob constantly the whole show. So Kathy, what's up? Had fun in the poster line, unbelievable. There we go. Hi, Sam. Yeah. Can confirm the tears. Okay. I don't cry. I'm soulless and completely dead inside. So
you said you cried on the podcast last night. You said you cried.
I also lie on these podcasts regularly. It's fine. Being a podcaster allows you to just choose what you want to say as facts. So
I have a diary of every time you've cried. So I just need to adjust my notes to.
A lot of lies in that diary, I'm sure. I don't know. We'd get to fact check that thing. But anyway, moving on. Yeah. Elizabeth, another great song for acoustic, always upbeat. And then going from that sing-songy California Man, it kind of reminds me of Eagle Song, and Elizabeth was just a bopper, classic little like poppy kind of song from Peter. And then Jackaro to slow it all down. What did you think about that progression?
I mean, the pop just from everyone in the room when that came on, it was one of the more quiet, acoustic songs in terms of the crowd and the noise around. I mean, people actually really kind of, shut up for that one.
Yeah. I think it was definitely we were down on Trevorside Orchestra the first night and a little bit waves back. And it was definitely everyone getting adjusted and finding their people and everything for the very beginning, but then it definitely quieted down for the third song. Yes.
Yeah. And Jackaro, it's just like a special song. And I had a few notes that it's often attributed to the dead. I stole these set list notes off of Facebook on El Goose, and thank you for the people who put them up there because I couldn't find any others. But it's often attributed to the dead. It's not really a dead song per se. It's an old classic. Kind of like a Scottish song, North American and British song from the 1800s. So that's a lot of stuff that Jerry always did with Americana. I just figured I'd throw that out there. A lot of people don't seem to know that about Jackaro.
Is it true this is the first song you learned on guitar?
Gosh, you read the notes. People think Bruce doesn't take notes for these shows, but he does. And just proved that. But yeah, it was the first song I learned to play on guitar. And then that's kind of why it's a little bit this traditional sort of song. It's an easier song to play. And it's such a nice song to sing along to. And it's very moving in a way. But yeah, I learned to play it on guitar. And that's why I knew right away that it wasn't just really a Jerry song, but kind of always is attributed to him, even though the whole arrangement's Joan Baez. Another artist, the guys like in Goose, they've covered a Joan Baez song. I can't remember the name of it. God, okay. None of us can. If anybody in the chat. Just and Mike have seen 100 Goose shows, but none of us can remember the name of this Joan Baez song they covered. God, so yeah, we always rely on people in the chat to help us again. And we need Silver Dagger.
I knew Neil
Landry, of course, is out there helping from the Almost Always There pod, which is a much more of a Goose podcast than this one. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, Bucket Hat Bruce playing guitar sounds like a money-making machine, Eric. I agree. So moving on from Jackaro, then we got another really good 3-song progression that I thought, was good together. So I'm going to put them that way with Turn Clouds, This Old Sea, which is a really nice This Old Sea. And Jess and I love that song. And then All I Need. So let's talk about that. Jess, what did you think about that little segment?
This Old Sea, I was standing still and like holding my glasses so that through the tears I could try to see.
Oh,
that
crying
in
still.
the distance, like, sobbing hysterically, and like peering to try to see.
You're gonna see that was like a theme for the
That was
weekend.
mostly yeah.
You'll hear a lot about crying this show.
I'm sorry.
I have been crying myself too. We'll hear more about that in a second. But you too, Mike. What did you think about that whole set?
I mean, I'm a sucker for Turn Clouds always. So like, great. That was fantastic. This Old Sea. I'm not a This Old Sea hater. I like This Old Sea. I'll jump around with you guys on this. Yeah, and I mean, all I need. At first I was a little bit, okay, like great song for acoustic, but I always love that electric. But I think that all worked out.
The
kept
funny
thinking
thing
about
is
Greg with
what-
his
what-
I had all of the I need.
He's had a lot of needs for sure. I mean, we all have, you guys have too, and but they do such different stuff with it a lot, and it opens the door for it with 2 jams in it, so it's always good. That I honestly was, like you said, Mike. Obviously acoustic All I Need. I thought it was really good. It was only 9 minutes, so that's like probably the shortest All I Need they've played in for a long time. But
it was a pretty.
I thought it was a really good one.
For This Old Sea, right? I was trying to figure out how long it was.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And This Old Sea was longer. It was like 11 and a half minutes, I think,
Yeah.
something like that. So, and they always take that out for a ride a lot now too, after Rick gets his singing in. So, but anyway, let's jump into the electric stuff. This podcast is electric today. Everybody's electric in the comments. So let's go electric set. So first set, electric, second set of the show. Jumping right in to Radio City with a tumble, which love that choice. And this was a good tumble. This was a pretty good tumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming off, the acoustic was a really great warm up for everyone, and coming back from set break, it was a great, just, kick things off, super energetic. The crowd was super into it, and, we had a pretty good spot. We were lower orchestra watching, and just like people were losing their minds.
Was that the set I think that set we wandered over with some friends on Peter's side.
Is that, I think,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we had a different view for the very
we moved around a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you had a view of Peter doing things within his middle, his crotch area. Yeah.
For a couple
songs, everybody wants
back for our actual seats. Yeah.
Angela prefers other songs to This Old Sea. Okay. Anyway,
Bruce and I love it enough for everyone. So
so next up though, Born, they did have good energy through both acoustic sets from the sounds of it. And Tumble's a great energetic jam. And then go on into Born, which gets a little bit more spacey and slows things down a little bit. But that is a hell of a song now. And I think I always love that song. I know you guys seem to like that song when it came out too. I know it was getting a lot of hate, Rob Thomas likes it.
I'm
a Dripfield album fan. I think I've listened to it like at least 50 times in the last 4 days.
But you're insane a little bit, but yeah.
So I was like, I had like a checklist of all of the like album songs, like which are we going to hit them all in the weekend? But so I was excited.
Yeah. Well, Mike, because you're not as active in El Goose as you used to be, which God, you're
I wonder why.
so lucky. But no, when Born came out, man, the first single from Dripfield, and people were like literally shocked about this kind of more indie vibe and atmosphere to it. And they had a poll in El Goose, and I swear to God, after like hundreds of votes, it was still like split 50-50 as far as who liked it and who didn't.
Wow.
But you can always hear the live potential for it,
Yeah, the last couple times they played it live, they've definitely, I think, proven those people wrong.
Dude, and they have this sick 2001. Look, we're talking about Fish. We're talking about Trey. We're going to reference Fish today, but they have this sick 2001 jam out of Born. I don't care if it is 2001 or not. I can hear it all the time, and it's really great, And now lately, Legend Valley one didn't keep that jam. It got darker and different immediately. This one kind of had a little bit of the vibe. Didn't go all the way there. It was super spacey. I noticed when I was listening earlier.
That was the first time I cried of set 2. Was the Born. So
okay, the Born, good song to cry to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard
Rick's
Rob
emotion
Thomas.
is strong.
Talk about Rob Thomas.
Yeah, we could talk about Rob Thomas. So We talk about Rob Thomas a lot in the Goose community for some horrible reason. And it was incredible that he ended up, what it was on Instagram. It was the song of the day.
I thought it was a Photoshop at first.
I didn't think it was real either. But then I saw it on Twitter too. And I'm like, retweet. We support Rob Thomas. Can have him on anytime, down to talk about all of the hits that he had with Matchbox 20 in his solo career. Thank you, Rob. Great Beyond needs people to interview. So moving on through the set. So after Born, and both of those were good songs, kind of long, man. And then we got into the Whales. What about the Whales, especially on the new album?
I mean, that might be my favorite song on the new album. That song is so good on the album. And I mean, they killed it that night too. Like
what a different feel for the song now, and the way Rick sang it live was really different.
For sure.
Like behind Peter, it was like very much different.
I just we haven't talked about Getty's Lights yet, which I don't know how we haven't done that.
This is how we do it actually on the Great Beyond, is that eventually one of us is just like, we haven't mentioned Getty.
Because I remember Wales was like the first time that I like looked all the way like up from the stage and saw everything he was doing on like Beyond. I don't know. What did he call that? The ceiling?
Right. You guys are always kind of close, and it's just a different perspective on the lights, and you got such a unique kind of view in Radio City, which is that theater style with the little drapes and everything around, and the curved architecture, and Getty really took advantage of that. What the funny thing was, I said to Getty after that show, I was like, you kind of look like you kind of pared some things down when a little bit minimalist when you have all of these gadgets now and lights to play with. And he said he kind of did. And Matt Kalinsky, manager of the band, Libby Main, friend of the podcast. He also said he was like, yeah, Matt's been telling me that for a while, and I went to try it, tonight, and I really liked it, and I think it paid off a lot in some of these situations, and similar with the Whales and what he was doing. And it's kind of, from the pictures I've seen, it looks like it's a little bit in contrast to the second night. So we got to talk about that too.
Yeah.
But then so after the Whales, Western Sun, everybody loves Western Sun.
That was my first cry along Goose song was Western Sun.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that just what we're doing today? Is we're just talking?
It's just but how many? So did you end up getting to crying during that?
Oh yeah, like I had paused for a second, and then it was Waterworks again.
Okay, so if anybody's tallying out there, I think we're up to like 4 specific crying moments during the first show. So we're gonna keep adding that up for Jess.
You can't count Saturday. We won't talk about that yet.
Okay. We're gonna get there. We're gonna keep counting Saturday. It's gonna be the whole weekend.
It's been so fun to see them play with like a Western Sun a little bit. That was like, so we started seeing Goose in January 2018, and then we started going everywhere.
Excuse me, guys.
And so what was that? And so I think it was like March 2018. We saw them in Putnam, is that right? March.
I think March.
And they were opening they were opening for Ryan Montbleu, and there was, I don't think anyone there who knew Goose other than us, and so they did some like wacky stuff with that set, and I think that Western Sun made it on that spring tour thing that went on.
Yes.
I think it was a winter
tour.
On Bandcamp. That's a good one to shout out to people. Nobody ever talks about that anymore, but there's like a winter tour highlights.
After that Western Sun, for that one, I was like, you did crazy things. And they were like, yeah, because we knew you would care. And so this Western Sun, it was like full circle again.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the Western Sun from Perry, which is obviously epic and probably their best Western Sun. Yeah. And then one of their best. And then the one they did at Legend Valley recently with the 3-song second set in between the middle there was like just so because maintained some kind of weird vibe. I was like, this is just different. And then this one, this one was a little bit more standard, but like the vibe of the whole set, the flow of the whole set. We talked about this on the podcast yesterday, and Megan noticed that a host on the podcast, the Megan Dance on HF Pod, mentioned that the flow of the show from Friday was really good. And I'm looking at the set list, I'm like, it kind of looks slower, but I remember it being upbeat and energetic the whole night. And I think that's something that they've been able to do with Western Sun that they weren't in the past ever doing, And then finally, Pancakes. We got to talk about Pancakes.
When I
that was a
Pancakes today, I was Neil had sent me some links to listen so I could try to remember through being overwhelmed. And
Neil again supporting the podcast in many ways. Thank you.
And Trevor in the middle to second half of Pancakes was absolutely insane. And I remember that from the show, and then listening, I got stuck in an hour of listening to just the second half of Pancakes.
Yeah. Thank you, Neil. And yes, Sam, I agree, man. That opening riff is just so catchy. I think this is one of the things with Peter's songs is that people get wrapped around the axle with the lyrics sometimes and almost just accompany the song like any other kind of melodic device in it, like any other instrument. And it's not the focal point per se, but it just adds some texture and flavor to the song. But that opening riff, Pancakes is really cool, and has that very cool riff. Yeti has that very cool riff. Time to Flee is very catchy or can get in your head. He just has a knack for that. Butterflies is also very cool riffs in that too. So it's cool to see. Did Jess cry during Pancakes? That would have been strange.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. No crying during Pancakes.
Yeah, that's not a lot. There's no crying in Pancakes.
Pancakes got mean towards the end too, a little bit.
I don't remember crying during Pancakes. It was
more of a rager of a Pancakes. You know? A lot of melted butter and maple syrup. Just getting really crazy.
Right.
So then, so let's keep going because I am doing bad on time management. People got to watch the show after this. But set 3, Big Madhavan, the next really big song of the show. What'd you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's I don't care if they stick it at the beginning of a set, end of a set. I always love when they play that, and they can. I mean, pretty consistently, they've been taking it some pretty interesting places. I still, one of my top ones is still probably that Mousetrap 2019, where I feel like that's where they really started taking Madhavan in way different directions and experimenting with it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a good one, dude. I forgot. I haven't thought about that one in a long time. And Mousetrap.
No, I put that I listen to that at least once a week.
That 12, 14, 19 Mousetrap show is another legendary show for sure.
I think you
a lot of cool covers too.
I think you can hear Bruce screaming during this, a quick yell. I don't know how to.
It's very possible. I was very drunk at the end of that tour.
No, this one. For this Madhavan. This one.
I was also probably, same difference.
Similar.
But I don't know. The energy was crazy.
Angela said, "Big dog's gotta eat." Yeah, that's my
favorite. Big dog's hungry.
And then I feel like that one I could just picture you with your fist pump through the whole thing.
The hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A few people don't know on the podcast. I try to dance. It doesn't come out that like a dance, but we'll talk about that another time.
I'm sorry, my mom just got here. Mom, we're live.
His mom. Did mom listen to the archives?
She was supposed to try to tune in on YouTube, and instead they just came to our house and walked in. So.
Yo, tune in live, baby. That's the way. That's fire.
Dad knows.
Yeah.
Christ.
Hi, what's up? All right, so we have many guests on this. This is what happens when Bruce runs the podcast.
Yeah,
it's a disaster. So let's talk about the next two. These are the most important ones of this night, in my opinion. Hot Tea and Arrow, with Stuart Bogey on sax, who played sax on the new album Dripfield. D. James Goodwin on guitar, who produced the album. He also played some instruments on the album, and Dave Nelson on trombone. What did you guys think about this Hot Tea and Arrow?
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I like Studio Arrow a lot. I like the arrangement of it. So I was super stoked that they played that, pretty, that kind of arrangement on it. And, anytime they have horns, I'm super stoked about it. They, it was a Pizza in the Park a few years ago. They had, was that Arcadia, and then they covered that Billy Joel song.
I think so.
Dude, I mean, I'm just happy. It sounded so good with the horns, both songs. But Hot Tea especially was incredible. The slow tea with the horns, and they kept it type 1 the whole time. Sorry, everybody. It was flames. And I loved it, man. And I was happy to hear how good it sounded. Both songs with the horns in Radio City because of so much shit talking about what it was like on the album. What do you think was different about
I think that they were really patient with it too. Like the horns were not, they were tasteful. They were good interplay with them. Like they weren't just, blaring and kind of, doing their own thing. It was, obviously they'd played with those guys before and, super talented, but I think that it was, slowed down a little bit. Just like on the studio version, it's a little bit slower, and I really dig that.
Jess isn't even concentrating on the podcast, everybody. Mike is spitting insight over here.
At me right
I'm not really sure what's happening.
I don't know what they're doing here.
Probably
Jesse Watt's parents have invaded the great beyond.
Hi, Dad.
This is great. God, if they just listened to the show, I'd ask them some questions about the animal or whatever. But
they were trying to listen to the podcast and they couldn't figure it out. So you need some better directions, I guess.
It's probably for the best, really. I mean, and it's recorded. They can always go back and give us views. We desperately need
to edit out
but
last section.
I love the horns. I loved Arrow and Hot Tea in the album. The thing that everyone talks about on like I said called the clatter in the very beginning of Arrow. Like
the pots and pans, you mean?
What?
Let's just the pots and pans that they dropped on the ground.
Sounds like they're just having like so much fun, and so I support them having fun.
More fun.
Well,
more fun.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked, so quick plug of the Great Beyond, even though you're already watching. But we interviewed D. James Goodwin. Oh, wait, I didn't. That's right. The people that tried to take the pot away from me did with Karina.
I only listened to this episode, so
it was a really good interview. They got a lot of good information out of him about their approach to a bunch of the songs in the album in general. It was actually really interesting for me to listen to too. And I don't ever listen to podcasts because I'm usually on it. So everybody should check that out. It was a really good episode. So let's now, after this plug, we're going to get in to what everybody wants to talk about, the Trey Show. One of the most epic shows, definitely. I regrettably was not at, but it's hard not to be extremely happy about this show even happening anyway, especially from somebody who's been in the community for a long time. And it is nice from my perspective to see this and to see how well they all executed it. But want to do a quick thing. I didn't do this before, but I want to talk to you guys really quickly about, your background. We know your background with Goose, right? We've been friends with the band for a while, been seeing them for a long time. This was your 100th show. What about your connection with Fish as well?
I think I started a little bit before Jess. It kind of started more just, I wasn't super into jam bands in college, and it started as just like a way for me and my college buddies to, get together in the summer, and we started going to see shows at SPAC, and kind of escalated from there.
It was always like a guy's weekend. Like he would go with his college friends, and I'd be like, "No thanks, I don't want to."
Yeah. So then Jess came to Magna Ball with us.
That was my
good choice.
That was Jess's first Magna.
And so
good choice.
Mike was so nervous. Like, so I hear them planning, and they're like, "There's gonna be a Ferris wheel and all this stuff." And I was like, "I want to go. You can't leave me behind while you go to this thing." And
well, you go to something with a Ferris wheel? No,
I
we're talking about going to like a fish festival. She's like, "Yeah, the Ferris wheel. I can't miss that."
And so Mike was super freaked out. He was like, "Jess, Fish makes you anxious when you play around the house. Like the jams, sometimes like the repetitive jams can like really throw off my anxiety."
There have been like, even like, vocal jams. Why I'm just like, you need to turn that off right now.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to blame her on that for the most part. There aren't very many Fish vocal jams that I love.
And so Mike was super freaked out about like bringing me to this festival and like being stuck there for days. And like, if I hated it, like what that would be like. And I fell in love like immediately, like that. Was like the second day.
Pretty much right away.
That like Divided Sky they played at Magna Ball. All of a sudden I was like, I love
that was
it.
Second day.
Yeah, second day.
Afternoon set. Yeah.
And so
that afternoon.
I got the bug pretty hard, and then the next year they were doing. So we went pretty hard on Fish. Did the entire dozen. Did the 17. I was reading Angela's comment. So we went pretty hard, and I love the community and the experience and just like live concerts in general. I've always loved for any type of music, and so we were really loving that with Fish. And then found Spafford, and I was like, this is even cooler because we can be like, it's a smaller community. You can know more people. You can get closer. You can see the band, see what they're doing on stage, like see the connection between them even better.
Yeah, we hadn't even really heard of Spafford until Baker's Dozen. We saw a few Spafford T-shirts, and I don't think we did. Maybe there was one after show that we did, yeah. And then it was pretty shortly after that we started going to see them.
So we drove through a snowstorm for our like maybe 10th-ish Spafford concert to Detroit, and that was where we were doing like 7 shows in 10 days of Spafford, and because we're a little bit crazy, and we. That Detroit show was L Club where we met Goose for the first time. And I was hoping John would make it today because John set up his camera right behind us and was like, I'm so sorry. Like, don't let it get in your way. Don't get worried. I'm part of this band that's going to be on next. Like, he was like pumping us up. Like, we met John.
Sounds like a party for sure.
Yeah. He was selling it right away.
Yeah. He's like, it's going to be on YouTube. You have to watch it.
Natural born salesman, that kid.
Yeah. And then the first Goose set we heard was that Al Club in Detroit, and after the first or second song I turned to Mike, I was like, this is good, and he was like, we're not going to start following another band, Jess.
What I said was a smaller band than Spafford.
He took all his words back after the first set.
And then after those we did 6 of those 7 opening shows for Spafford.
We missed one for work.
Like a month later, we saw them. I think it was their first headlining gig at I think it was King's Rook in Erie, PA.
Jesus, these places, man, that they
we were there like there was still eating dinner in the back when they were supposed to be on stage. Like the man jumped on the stage and like
of course
laughed on the stage. Like it was crazy.
They're not trying to actually play any show. It takes a lot of pushing to get them out there, and hence the extra hour that they needed for night 2. So last question, most important question to any Fish fan, obviously, what's your show count?
Oh, Fish? It's like nothing.
We know you're at 100 for Goose.
32 for me?
Probably only like 40.
I think
nice. Still good.
I'm not really sure what has happened in the last couple of years, but things have
I think most people think 5 or 6 shows of the same artist is quite a bit. So I think 30, 40 is a lot.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's dig into it. Obviously, this is not a Goose podcast. We do sometimes talk about them. I don't know why. We're just riding their coattails. So let's get into the epicness of night 2. And you guys are going to talk a lot about this. Obviously, like I said, I wasn't there, so I don't want to give too much of my insight because I only literally listened to the songs with Trey.
You did a good job talking about it last night, buddy.
Yeah, and when I talked about Trey last night. So let's talk about Goose tonight. Let's talk about this first acoustic set. Just going to go through it really quick. Atlas Dogs, Moonrise, Goose first time played. What did you guys think about Moonrise?
I really loved Moonrise acoustic. I dug it on the album. I'd listened to it obviously like 6 times before the show on Saturday at least. So I was thrilled to hear it acoustic. Period.
Very good analysis. New analysis here. What about Mike? What about you? What about those first songs, Atlas Dog and Moonrise?
I thought they were really good. Atlas Dogs is one of those songs that's really growing on me, but I have such a hard time with the name. Every time I'm like, I like this, I know it, but I cannot remember what it's called. And every time.
So was it the new arrangement with Atlas Dogs that they played in this acoustic style, or was it kind of similar to the original? Could you even tell?
Mike hasn't re-listened, so
honestly, I think
good boy. No, we don't prepare for this podcast. So it's good.
I'm sure someone in the comments can probably answer that, but
let us know the technicals of Atlas Dogs in the comments. If
I was crying. I was distracted.
There
we go. Thank you.
All right, she might have been crying. All right, cool, perfect. Mike wasn't really listening, so okay, perfect.
Okay,
this is what I expect. So, okay, so we got that. Let's see, a little Simon and Garfunkel vibes. I can see that too. Yeah, definitely. So, and it's a Peter song. Again, his writing is really improved. So let's go on. Wake Up, Arcade Fire cover.
I love that cover.
Yeah. I was trying to think, have they done that before?
So this freaked me out because I saw Goose first time played, and I started down a rabbit hole. I was like, I've heard them sing this before. Though, right? But yeah, so they did it Arablo.
Okay,
Rebelo. All right, on. Good. When was that?
Fred, I think, and Solarium, if my notes are correct.
Oh, and Solarium. Okay, yeah, okay. That's right. That does ring a bell. But this first time played this Arcade Fire cover by the whole band, Acoustic. So that's very cool.
Big Arcade Fire fan. That was really good.
Yeah, see, I don't know Arcade Fire that much, and I don't know if anybody else in the chat, big Arcade Fire fan. I've heard the album this is off of. It's supposed to be fantastic. I do want to listen sometime. But very cool, digging into the indie well as they do. And then digging into the classic rock well, as they also do with Atlantic City, which is honestly a beautiful cover. They do it amazingly. I do wish I was there for this one. What do you guys think about that? I'm sure Jess was sobbing.
Yep. That's when the tears hit again.
Waterworks for Atlantic City.
I feel we met the people as soon as I walked into our seats. We were first row of the first mezzanine on the aisle for night 2, and it was mind blowing. Like that's got to be like the best spot in the house.
And there was somebody next to us that let's say, I think even before the show said like one of the songs that's chasing is Atlantic City. So I was just super stoked for them, and like they were losing their minds. And I mean,
a great choice in New York too.
Eric is trying to, so that Eric, the 2015 Goose one is the Macy Gray one. It says
yes,
Fantasy Tour.
Right, that's probably correct too. Yeah, because they
got merged. The accounts got merged. They got merged there, so it's still the first time I played Arcade Fire. Okay,
man, it's always good to have people on the podcast clearing things up because I would not be. So this is great. So then we got a flow down, acoustic flow down. Obviously, can't go wrong. And an LMAG. How was the LMAG?
I mean that just
LMAG was amazing,
incredible as always. I mean,
such a beautiful song.
That's one that I feel like I have not heard in a while, and I kind of hoped they would do it acoustically, and it was fantastic. A few years back we saw just Rick and Peter do it acoustic at it was Birds of a Feather in Kentucky. It was like a small
that was 2019, right? August 2019.
Yeah.
Those were good shows too. If anybody hasn't listened to those, it's like 2 shows, like 8/16 and
that. The one with Rick and Peter and the guys from
Rumpke.
It was so.
Oh, the Rumpke Mountain Boys, right?
Yeah. And they were late, and it was pretty. That was a fun time.
Late. That happens a lot in and around.
Yeah. Well, it was like in the middle of nowhere on like an old drag strip.
Like a drag strip.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Pretty wild.
Shout out to Brian Hunziker, MC there, who hooked up Goose, got him out there. He's made some pins as well. So he's the man. Zinger's the man. And we love that whole clique out there in the Covington area too. So, all right, let's move on. Now we're getting into the electric. Rockdale, perfect way to kick it off, right?
Yeah, but you couldn't ask for a better way to start that electric set.
Yeah.
I mean, Rockdale is one of those songs that I think is quickly climbing the ranks of one of my favorites. It's been probably close to the top for a while now. Legend Valley was amazing, and the one from here was just fantastic. Tons of energy. The crowd was super into it.
Yep. It's like Garrett was saying, crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing that I was hearing a lot. And you could hear it Friday too. But of course, it was even more so on Saturday. The energy in that building the whole weekend was absolutely nuts. And that's part of what helps. I think the band, of course, play well. I've always thought that about live music. So that's one of the best feelings on earth. So then you got Seekers, part 1 and part 2. I always love Seekers, a little slower, slowing it down, cooling it off a little bit after Rockdale, I'm sure. Yeah. And then Redbird. Let's talk about this Redbird. I heard this Redbird, what was it, into writing a novel. So we can talk about the whole thing. But that was fantastic.
The second the lights all went red and the spotlight on Ben with his birding in the back, and
Betty
I was just
amazing on that one.
That will be like forever. Like I don't have really great vision, but I could somehow see every facial expression Ben was doing while he was flapping his Redbird arms there.
Yeah.
This is my podcast now, Kalinsky. I will do whatever I want. But yes, Redbird. I heard so many good things about Redbird. You know, I heard it was one of the highlights of the night.
Honestly, that was probably of the non-surprises of the night. I think Redbird was probably my standout.
Yeah, that's very
Apparently
cool.
Sam doesn't like the birding. She said no. But
already embarrassed from your future husband. Just wait. I've been embarrassed by him for years. So and this always kind of pops up a little bit. Man, Redbird is another really cool song that Peter's written that I think is very different and just very interesting. And they really, just like Pancakes, it puts him into a jam space that a lot of other songs do not. So that's why you get some really epic stuff out of that. And then writing a novel. Father John Misty, Josh Tillman joining them for that. That is very cool.
Yeah, he had some good dance moves too. He was
right. Mike, the people next to us were like, "Who? What's happening?" And Mike knew. Luckily, Mike was like, "Yeah, perfect, got it."
I heard he was having a little fun that night, so I'm not
surprised
to hear this. Yeah.
He looked like he was there at the time of his life.
And then one of my favorites, obviously, and I saw some pictures of Getty's Lights during this, the Creatures to end it out. How was that?
Yeah.
That was
can't go wrong.
Yeah,
right, with Creatures. God, it's so sick.
I was also proud. I think I was crying at this point. I kept having to on the railing was knee level, and I would sit down on the ground and just peer over the edge so I could focus. It was so overwhelming with all of the lights and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, Creatures is sick, man. Nothing like Pretty Lights, but it's pretty good though, right? No. So I had to.
And then we were with Ryan Matthews, Abby Fox Photography's husband, and he was like, "Peter's gone. Where did Peter go?" Because he noticed when Peter walked off stage immediately. So then we were searching the crowd, waiting for where Peter was gonna pop up, and we could see him pop up on the little balcony over there.
Now, of course, Peter's moving around a lot. He scared the shit out of Trey moving around. So, okay, we got 13 minutes. Let's talk about Trey. This is stuff.
Everyone's talking about Trey. We don't have to talk about that.
Nah, this is good. So we're going to skip Silver Rising. Silver Rising's the werewolf song. Everybody loves it. Rick is a werewolf. It's great. But let's talk about this. So Trey on Hunger Site, which again, I thought from what I'd listened to was probably the best musically. If it were, going to rate some of these songs that they played, because the whole experience was probably incredible. But I'm just going to peel this off and let you guys talk. So it's Hunger Site with Trey, then Arcadia. I sang a little bit of that too. Dripfield Loose Ends, Trey sang a little bit in there, and then Empress. So take it away.
Yeah, everyone, kind of already knew what was coming. It kind of gone out in line, but it still was just one of those I can't believe this moment. It's when the entire, we had a perfect spot to see this up on the mezzanine. I've never seen more people with cameras and phones in their hands.
Yeah, I could see that on the video. It's hilarious.
And Hunger Site was when Trey sang for the first time, and I was just in shock. I was expecting, I don't know, I was kind of expecting him to sing, maybe not, but for him to have actually he obviously knew the songs, which kind of reminds me of I've seen when Rick has sat in with people, Rick he learns the songs, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
Trey obviously he sound checked it with him obviously, but who knows if he was aware of them beforehand, but obviously he knew of the band.
Mike keeps telling people I fell to my knees, which is not what happened. I very nicely sat on the ground once again to focus through my tears, staring at the stage. And it was absolutely wild. To watch just him come on stage, shake everyone's hands, and just start playing was
and
insane.
Trevor going in for the fist bump, and then the smoothest transition to a handshake I've ever seen.
Someone needs to
right
away. That was
I remember somebody calling that out on social media, but it was true. Trevor's a smooth cat. It's hard not to.
Yeah. And someone in the comments mentioned the call and response, and that was just so chills. And when I rewatched the video, the first time I rewatched the video, it was the same thing all over again.
Yeah.
Wild.
And it was incredible how well they just jived on Hunger Site, which is kind of just a song that I guess I wouldn't have expected them to right away, besides the composed part, which I get why then now after the fact, especially why they chose that song. And for numerous reasons, obviously Dripfield coming out, they played it on CBS. So really, really cool. And I did think Trey just did a great job on that. I think he did a great job throughout, but then Arcadia, I have mixed feelings. Well, look, it was all awesome. Let's be real. But the Arcadia, he seemed, I would. That's a song I would have thought Trey would have absolutely destroyed.
Someone online, I can't remember where I first saw it. I've seen a few people say it, how when Jovi, the little girl, sat in with to sing Bug with Trey, how she started to get the cadence or something wrong, and the crowd started cheering on, and she fell into the groove right away.
Incredible.
The same thing happened with Trey and Arcadia.
That's great.
And it, the crowd just went crazy, and like he got right back into it. It was so
God, it's so good. Yeah, I guess I could see that too in the video.
And I like that comparison was so cool to me, and just to think about. Yeah, I don't remember where I first saw it, and then today we were rewatching the one that's on YouTube already, and just like I said to Mike, like Trey's like cadence of singing it was like his Trey's cadence, I felt like, and it was so fun to like see that.
Yeah.
Arcadia, the song we all know so well, which is not our top song. We were talking about top songs earlier, but yeah.
Oh wow, that's a top one for me, and a top one.
No,
I mean, a lot of people.
I mean, as far as how many we've seen, it's not our most.
Okay. Oh, okay. Just song count. Okay, right on. So then Dripfield with Loose Ends. Speaking of songs, I thought would be pretty hard. I do think Trey took a little bit more of a back seat on this because he did, by all accounts, practice Hunger Site and Arcadia a bit. I do think, with based on information I've heard over the years, like and seen, that I'm pretty sure he was familiar with all this music, which is why he could just play songs like Dripfield and Empress without necessarily maybe having practiced them. But Loose Ends too. I just thought he looked like he almost like was like, what the hell just happened? Got into the groove really quick because it's a cool little easy kind of groove. But it was really funny to see kind of his face and expression when they went into that.
And I feel like that's such a perfect.
It's not Dripfield anymore.
And Trevor, just this like smile on his face was insane. And Mike turned to me during Loose Ends and goes, Trey is playing Trevor's jam. What's happening right now? And I once again sat down on the floor looking out over the balcony.
Yes, and like it's funny because a lot of people don't know that Loose Ends little ditty is Trevor's that he kind of came up with and a long time ago. So, and also we talked about this yesterday on HF Pod, but anytime you see Loose Ends on a set list or you get it in a show, the band is vibing hard.
Yeah, I was just doing that last night. It's almost like not to bring too much of a fish comparison, but like they always say when they play Rocky Top that they know that they've been hitting it on all cylinders, and I feel like when Loose Ends comes in, that's it's going to be a fire show.
Yeah, there are just certain times, lots of times when Fish is like weaving in and out of things too is one of the times where it's just like, oh God, they're just feeling it, and I just think all the guys out on stage are feeling it though, not during the show. And you could tell the whole night they really had the feeling Friday, and then it just kept growing the whole time into this Trey set.
Right.
And then what a great way, what a fantastic way. I mean, some of the choices they made set list wise over the course of the weekend were perfect.
Yeah.
But this was ultimately incredible, ending with Empress. What was the feeling like in there?
I don't think they could have gone for a much better, just the crowd reaction was incredible. Everybody was so fired up.
I love that about listening to videos.
Like Trey's playing on Empress. Like, how can you not be?
I think I might hit my like emotional overload by far at that point, and I like honestly don't have any memories of Empress. And,
just
like,
blacked out, drowning in your own tears.
But like I have like no memories from Empress.
Asphyxiated by tears.
Yeah, I was done by that point. I was cooked.
That is very incredible. I mean, what an incredible.
Type 3 tears. Yeah, Angela said type 3 tears. Yep.
Oh, we got up there. Somebody had asked about type 2 tears before, and we got through that. We broke way through that level.
Yeah.
You lost the original structure of what tears
actually
are. But yeah, this is another thing too. One of the things that we always look for, we talked about Loose Ends always being a clear sign the band was feeling it during a show, but you can also tell by just the way the guys, their little mannerisms, and Peter's always out there happy as hell. But Rick too, you're gonna see him shake his hair a lot. He's smiling the whole set. It's really unbelievable to see. He's got a little joke here and there, which is always when he's loose. Trevor smiling, I mean, come on. It's really hard to not feel great.
We haven't said it yet. I saw Angela said it in the chat, but the Jeff, Papa, can we keep him? Was just like I think I texted one of my like fish buddies that I work with. Like I said, I think there's a sixth member of the band.
Oh God, I hope so. To be honest, I really hope so. And then I also thought a very cool way to end the show with Father John coming out with Trey, with the band, Jeff on guitar, playing a Beatles cover that they all know, and then sharing verses was me. But so what a way to wrap it up. Right?
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, kind of what Jess was alluding to with Empress. Just at that point, I was puddled. Like I was on the floor. There was really, but it was, Father John percussion. That was cool. Him singing. Have they done Tomorrow Never Knows since Goosemas 2019?
Dude, I don't.
Let me fact check.
I feel like they have.
Someone fact check.
Somewhere. I'm not fact checking. Everyone who listens to this podcast knows I do not do that. We just wing it, and I hope somebody else helps.
They say yes. Yeah.
I mean, Bruce took over this podcast. It doesn't mean he took over doing any sort of work for it. That would be ridiculous. So I just talked to Osiris about Ken, Greg, and Joey.
Apparently they've very recently done it.
We weren't listening. Vermont. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I knew they had done Tomorrow Never Knows, but what an epic show. What an absolutely epic weekend for the guys. Album release, 2 sold-out shows at Radio City with tons of special guests. They absolutely crushed the music the whole weekend. Did the album signing on Saturday, CBS morning show on Saturday. I mean, I just don't, it's hard to even fathom. You guys know from seeing them at these random places in Erie and Detroit, like what if we're gonna knock this out before the premiere starts in 3 minutes, everybody, and thank you for hanging. What is the feeling like to see that after all of these years?
I'm still not used to it. Like every time I walk into some of these rooms, I'm just like, how is this even possible? And I mean, it just is like a testament to how talented they are and how hardworking they are. Because like I've never seen a band just rock it like that. And I mean,
step up to the plate. They stepped up to the plate in a big way.
Yeah. And they've just grown and followed their own path. And like someone recently was like, have they changed as people? And I was like, no, like they're so focused and working so hard on creating what they want to do and like not letting everything that could be getting to them get to them. And it's amazing to see. And it's just like, I could never feel prouder of like the crew and the band and everybody and the family and all of everybody who's
and just how much hard work all the crew has put in, and the families and significant others too. I mean, they're putting in the work too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Just so proud of the guys and so happy for them and so happy to see where this leads. So thank you guys for coming on. This was a great episode. Bruce runs it. It's good. And thank you guys. You really crushed it. Thank you everybody in the comments for hanging out with us. It was a lot of fun.
Best episode of The Great Beyond per Neil.
Oh, sorry, Greg. Oh no, sorry, Greg. I'm taking over. But
I've been telling you to have us on forever, Bruce. So I just need
hey, I finally, had to. So happy 100th to you guys. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Go check the video premiere of night 2, Radio City Music Hall. It's going to be absolutely sick, all mixed pro shop video. Enjoy. It's on YouTube. And just thanks again, everybody. We'll see you out there. Greg, Joey, and I will be at Peach. So if you're at Peach, come by and say hi. And then we'll catch everybody else on the. Oh, and those two will be there too. Maybe next, hosts. So Mike, thank you, Sam. All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us. And I have to end the podcast.